Got McTominay's off to Italy, Mark. That'd be nice for him.
Yeah, a bit of a cold we got in Napoli, but I think he's come to the end of the line at Man United, hasn't he? He's been a good servant for United, but I think, to be brutally honest, if Man United want to make the next step, they have to move him on. He's out of contract in the summer. They didn't really merit a new contract, so to get 20-25 million pound for a player that's out of contract next year is a really good deal, and I think it's a good move for him working for Antonio Conte. He'll enjoy that, maybe. But United can reinvest the money in Manuel Ugarte and get a younger, better midfielder that is probably more suited to the way that Ten Hag wants to play, and it's a good deal all around. So yeah, I think they had to move him on.
What reaction has there been amongst the fan base after that defeat against Brighton, Mark?
It's been a bit of here we go again, in the sense that nothing seems to have changed from last season. Another late defeat, another late goal, terrible defending. I mean, that's one thing that's kind of run through the Ten Hag era. The way that United defend, especially late in games, it's like they run out of steam, both physically and mentally. And they're unable to spot danger, to deal with it. And Erik Ten Hag's new Man United looks like against Liverpool at the weekend. It's a massive game that for both sides. But yeah, United just feels a little bit like we're going around in circles, and different season, same problems.
Frank, how do you explain that defensively, to be so amateur at that level at this time in a game?
Well, I would say it's a lack of communication, it's a lack of automatisms between the players. Don't forget that in the action, the two players at the back who should have looked back are Mctominay and Ugarte, who just came on, and so they don't know where they are. They don't communicate. I think Onana should have say something. It's like kids, playing on the field, where they're all attracted by the football and they forget what's going on. And the field is wide, and you have to make sure that something is going on, or maybe nothing is going on behind you. And they forgot that. That's the basics of defending. So for McTominay, might be an excuse. For Ugarte, playing for Ajax, Juventus, Bayern Munich, it should be a reflex. Should come straight away. And look what you have behind, and you have a time to drop or to go backwards, because that was horrendous. When you see the picture, you see the 4 defenders, the 3 midfielders in the same area, and you see 2 or 3 guys behind them. That's not professional.
Just speaking of not professional, Transfer Talk is available between now and the end of the window. You can check that out over on Transfer Talk to keep up to date with all the latest moves before the window shuts. Transfer window closes, Mark. There are rumours that Chelsea are in the market for Jadon Sancho. What can you tell us about this? Or maybe Raheem Sterling going the other way?
Well, Chelsea are interested in Jadon Sancho. Man United are less interested in Raheem Sterling. Now, the reason why, I don't know why Chelsea are after Jadon Sancho. He's a good player, we know that, but they're not short of attacking players. Now, sure. Raheem Sterling is on his way up because he's on about £300,000 a week. He's got 3 years left in his contract. Jadon Sancho is on a similar wage at Man United with 2 years left in his contract. So I don't quite know how it stacks up for Chelsea, apart from the fact that he's younger than Raheem Sterling by about 4 or 5 years. It makes no sense for Man United to take Raheem Sterling. That, good as he is, they don't want to take a 29-year-old on a big salary who want a decent contract. So there's no sense in Sterling to United. I don't think there's any sense in Sancho to Chelsea, but Chelsea were interested in Sancho a year ago. I think the last summer window, and that didn't happen then. So they have had a long-standing interest, but I've got to say, it doesn't really make any sense. I can't quite justify Chelsea's reasoning for this, because they don't need him. They just don't need Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho at the top of his game, maybe, but even then, they've still got so many attacking players, recent signings, that I just don't know where he'd fit in. So it's a strange one, but Chelsea have made some strange acquisitions in recent months. But Sterling to Man United, no, that is a non-starter. I think one that might tempt United is Ben Chilwell. I don't think it's at the top of their priority list, but because Luke Shaw's had his injury problems, we don't know when Tyrone Malacia is going to be back. I could see a way for Ben Chilwell to be sent to Man United as part exchange for Jadon Sancho. I don't know if it will happen. I don't think it will happen. But if you're asking me to make some logic out of a possible player trade, that would be the one that would make more sense to me than Sterling for Sancho. Well, equally, I don't think Sancho to Chelsea makes any sense.
OK, so on that point, as I mentioned, the window closes on Friday, Mark. Come Saturday, where will Jadon Sancho be playing his football?
Possibly Juventus.
Right.
Juventus are interested. I think Juventus makes more sense. We might discuss it a bit later on, but they're trying to get Federico Chiesa out of the club, so they need bodies in. I think it makes more sense for everybody. Sancho and Chelsea makes no sense, but it could happen because it's Chelsea. But I do think that Sancho to Juve is a possibility. And we can't forget as well that the Saudi Arabian window doesn't close until the 6th of October. So all these players that are desperate to get a move this week, they may find, or the clubs that may find that they can still move them on next month. There's also the Turkish window doesn't close until the 15th of September. So Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, Besiktas, these sort of clubs could be an option for players as well. So, I'm not saying Turkey or Saudi Arabia is at the top of the list of people like Jadon Sancho, Raheem Sterling, but it could become an option next month if they don't manage to get a move this week. And I think a lot of clubs will look to that market as well because it's a way to get players off the books after the European window closes.
Now, obviously, Victor Osimhen has been heavily linked to Chelsea. What's the latest there, and how hard do they feel they need to push to get the Napoli striker, Mark?
Well, Osimhen wants big wages, and at the moment, Chelsea don't want to go that far. And I think, again, the final week of the window, a lot of strange things happen. Napoli want to do a deal. Osimhen has made it clear he wants to go to the Premier League. So a lot of cards are stacked in Chelsea's favour, apart from the wages, and they can't afford to pay £500,000 a week for Victor Osimhen. Well, they probably can, but I don't know how they stack the numbers up. They seem to find the money to do a lot of things, Chelsea. But so Osimhen, I think, will move this week. PSG have also got an interest there as well, so that could be a problem because, as we know, Gonçalo Ramos is out for quite a while now, so they may need to bring Osimhen in. But I do think Osimhen will get a move this week. He doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. His agent's made that clear, so it looks like Chelsea or PSG, and I think it's who wants him most, really. I think Chelsea do need a striker, but they've got a lot of attacking players.
Yeah, if you're Chelsea, how hard are you pushing for this move, Frank?
I 100%. I mean, they still need a striker. It's not because Jackson scored a goal and made an assist yesterday that we change our mind and that Chelsea doesn't need a fantastic striker. And Osimhen is a striker. And when Mark said, Chelsea is not ready to pay $500,000 a week, they pay 360 million for 60,000. For Joe Felix. Yes, they can pay $500,000 for Osimhen. They need Osimhen. They didn't need Joe Felix. He's good at his core, but they didn't need Joe Felix. They don't need Jadon Sancho. They have enough players for that, but they need a striker. And their priority is to pay to get a striker.
Mark, meanwhile, you mentioned it, the possibility of Chiesa leaving Juventus. An intriguing one, and you've written about this on the website. Liverpool could be the destination for the Italian international.
Yeah, again, this is one that I had to kind of double check. When I spoke to some at Liverpool, and they were saying, look, the situation right now is that he's a player that they're looking at. They're doing due diligence on a lot of targets, and that they are aware that he's available. It doesn't make a lot of sense because Liverpool, a bit like Chelsea, have got a lot of attacking players, but then you factor in that, look, £10 million you're looking at and decent wages, it'd be a cheap option. Liverpool are going to play a lot of games this season. They're in the expanded Champions League, and this may lead to somebody leaving the club. I think that the most likely candidate would be Darwin Núñez, but again, big wages, it's going to be difficult to move him on. Chiesa is a great player, but he's had so many injuries over the last few years that he's nowhere near the level that he was. So it's a signing that doesn't really stack up. Liverpool haven't brought anyone in this summer. I'd have thought they'd have had different priorities, but they are considering a move for Chiesa. I think, don't understand why, but we may find out later in the week if he does come in and somebody else maybe moves out.
Do you understand why, Stevie?
Not really. If it was Chiesa of 2020 in the Euros, yeah. But since then, yes, he's had a lot of injuries, but when he's actually been fit, he hasn't produced.
Right.
So I don't... I can maybe understand if they're wanting a squad player. Maybe they're thinking Mo Salah goes next year. Maybe we can... I mean, it's a search. You're really reaching for a real solid reason why Chiesa...
But he's a body? Is that where we're at? He's just a body to add to the squad, as Mark says, for a long season?
I'm reaching. I'm trying to come up with a reason why they would. And
right.
I really... Hand on heart, I can't come up with a good one.
Mark, you mentioned there, and I thought it was interesting, Darwin Núñez. Is that just you spitballing? Is there any sort of gravitas to that maybe we could see him leaving Liverpool at the end of the window?
Listen, at the end of last season, I think Liverpool would have taken offers for Darwin Núñez. He's not really hit it off at Liverpool, but Darwin Núñez, like a lot of players at the moment, earns too much money to get a move that would get in regular football. That there's a lot of Premier League players who are just basically unsignable right now, unless Liverpool are prepared to take a drop on what they paid for him, unless he's prepared to take a drop on the wages, or unless, that some club could come to a compromise. But he does seem to be the odd one out right now. He doesn't seem to be a guy that has convinced Arne Slot. He didn't really convince Jurgen Klopp in the latter part of his time at the club. But, a lot of strange things happen in the final days of the window. And I do wonder whether, after 2-3 seasons at the club, whether he's really going to make it at Liverpool. And I think certainly at the end of last season there was a potential that he could have moved on. There is a bit of a cloud on the horizon as well, because we don't know what's going to happen to him following the situation in the Copa America, when he went into the crowd as a Uruguay player and started hitting fans. So if that leads to a suspension, it's taken a long time for CONMEBOL to actually act on this. We don't know what they're going to do. That might be a grey cloud, but still, I think it's unlikely that he moves out, but I think he's the most likely. Luis Diaz has attracted attention as well, but I don't think Liverpool would consider letting Luis Diaz go anywhere right now. He's playing too well.
Yeah, great goal, wasn't it, the weekend?
A little thing on Núñez. I don't know whether anybody noticed, but I don't know if it was the first or the second goal. The camera panned straight to the bench, and he never moved a muscle. He never. Every single person around him was up, was smiling, was clapping. And he was sat with his hands on his knees and never was.
It's like Stan Collymore back in the day. Was that you in goal for that game, Shaq? Doesn't matter, anyway. How hard would you fight to keep Núñez?
Well, he's clearly on the outs, so if you get a good enough offer...
But don't you need Slot to come in and coach and to get him better and to get him to the standard of which you thought you spent all that money on for him?
Well, I think if the way Liverpool played and the way the front line and the midfielders interacted, the way they were knocking the ball around, the way the little 1-2s, all the movement around it, the one thing I thought was Núñez doesn't fit into that. And if that's what Arne Slot's looking for on a consistent basis, then Núñez doesn't fit into that. And if you've got a player who you can get good money for that doesn't fit into what you try to do, then you have to think about letting them go.
Manchester United faces a major issue that £138 million in transfers can't fix. Manchester United suffered a 2-1 defeat against Brighton in their second Premier League match of the new season, revealing a recurring problem for Erik ten Hag. It was a busy summer at Old Trafford, with 3 new defenders, Lenny Yoro, Matthijs de Ligt, and Noussair Mazraoui, and a new striker, Joshua Zirkzee, joining the squad. Around £138 million was spent to bolster Erik ten Hag's team, as new sporting director Dan Ashworth aims to reshape the club's transfer strategy. While it's too early to judge Ashworth's impact, at least one more signing is expected before the window closes on August 30th. Manuel Ugarte from Paris Saint-Germain has reached a personal agreement with United, and the Reds are close to finalising the deal with PSG. This followed Bernardo Silva's late equaliser at Wembley in the Community Shield against Manchester City, a match United ultimately lost on penalties. Since Ten Hag took charge in the 2022-23 season, United has lost more games to goals scored in the 90th minute or later than any other Premier League team, 6. This is a staggering statistic, especially considering that they only lost 2 such matches in the first 30 Premier League campaigns combined. With another lapse in concentration costing United once again on Saturday, serious questions must be asked of both the manager and the players about why this keeps happening. Are Ten Hag's substitutions the right ones to close out tight games? Are the players doing enough to stay focused? It's likely a combination of both factors contributing to this recurring issue. The lack of goals from United's players is another concern. Many of Ten Hag's victories have been by a single goal, leaving the team vulnerable to quick reversals, wins turning into draws, and draws into losses. This is a problem that another summer of heavy spending hasn't solved. While there's no need for panic after one loss, and there were some positive signs, Ten Hag won't take United far if he and the players keep making poor decisions at critical moments. Improvement takes time, but it will be Groundhog Day at Old Trafford until United addresses this major flaw.